You know Sylvester Stallone, right? The guy who played Rocky, the face of toughness, grit, the underdog who never backs down. But let me tell you something most people don't know. His real life was more dramatic than any movie he ever starred in. Before he became famous, Stallone was just a struggling actor with a partially paralyzed face, slurred speech, and a dream that no one believed in, not even Hollywood. He wasn't born with anything special. In fact, his story starts with a complication. During his birth, doctors accidentally severed a nerve in his face with forceps, which caused that permanent droop in his lip and slurred speech. So right out of the gate, people looked at him and thought, he's never going to be an actor. But that didn't stop him. He grew up poor in New York City. His parents were constantly fighting. He bounced between schools and never really fit in. He was bullied, called names. He had trouble in school and found solace in movies, especially old-school action and boxing films. That's where the seed was planted. He wanted to be on the screen. He wanted to act. But it wasn't easy. He tried acting school, he went to auditions, and he got rejected. Again, and again, and again. They told him he talked funny. They told him he looked weird. One casting agent literally told him he should consider something else, like bodyguard work. Can you imagine hearing that? Your dream is acting, and they tell you, you're not made for it. Try something else. It got so bad he was sleeping in bus stations. He was completely broke, no money, couldn't pay rent. At one point, he had to sell his wife's jewelry just to buy food. And then, this is the part that breaks your heart, he had to sell his dog. Yeah, his dog. He stood outside a liquor store, holding a sign, trying to sell his best friend for $25. He cried as he handed him off. He said that was the lowest point of his life. Imagine that. Selling the only thing in the world that loves you because you can't afford to feed him. And then something happened. He went to watch a boxing match. Muhammad Ali versus Chuck Wepner. Now Wepner was this underdog no one expected anything from, and yet he knocked Ali down. He almost beat him.
Oh, a vicious shot to the rib from Muhammad Ali, and what a surprise!
In round 9, when Chuck knocked him down, I think everybody in the audience was the fans.
Don't forget, in the history of Muhammad Ali, this was his third time only after so many fights that he got knocked down.
That moment lit something up in Stallone. He went home and started writing, non-stop. He wrote for 20 hours straight, no food, no sleep, just raw inspiration pouring out of him. That became the script for Rocky. Now here's where things get wild. He took the script around town. Producers loved it. They saw potential. They offered him money. Won $25,000, which was life-changing for a guy who had just sold his dog to survive. But there was one catch. They didn't want him to star in it.
The temptation started to come forward. First it was 25 grand, then $100,000. Things were not looking very, very good.
They said, we'll buy your story, but we want a real actor in the lead. And Stallone said, no, let that sink in. This man was homeless, hungry, desperate, and he turned down 6 figures because he believed in himself that much. He said, if I can't star in it, I'm not selling it. They came back, $250,000. He still said no. They pushed again, $350,000. That's almost $500,000 in today's money.
It didn't matter. I wanted to stick with it. Then it went up to $150,000, $175,000, and it went up to $250,000. Now my head was starting to spin, and it went up to $330,000.
And this broke guy who had nothing but rejection his entire life still said no. Why? Because he was Rocky. He knew no one could play that role better than him. Not because he was the best actor, but because he had lived it. The struggle, the hunger, the grind, the pain, it was all real. That wasn't acting, that was him. Eventually they caved. They said fine, he could star in it, but they'd only pay him $35,000. He took it. And the first thing he did, he went back to that liquor store every single day for 3 days straight, waiting for the guy who bought his dog. On the 3rd day, the guy came back. Stallone offered him $100 to get the dog back. The guy said no. He offered $500. The guy still said no. He went up to $1,000. Oh, still no. Eventually, Stallone had to buy his dog back for $15,000 and a part in the movie. No joke. That dog, Buckus, ended up being in Rocky and became one of the most iconic pets in movie history. That's how much Stallone cared. That dog wasn't just a pet, it was his heart, his fight, his loyalty. And then Rocky came out. Nobody expected much. Small budget, no big name stars. But boom, it exploded. People felt it. They saw themselves in Rocky Balboa. And suddenly, Sylvester Stallone went from nobody to Oscar-nominated in a matter of months. The movie won Best Picture. It became a franchise. And Stallone, he became one of the most recognizable faces in the world. But here's the thing, it wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke. It was pure grit. He had every reason to give up. His face, his voice, his poverty, his rejection. But he never did. He bet everything on himself. And he won. Not because he was the best actor, not because he was the best writer, but because he believed when no one else did. That's the real story of Sylvester Stallone, the man who had nothing but a dream and refused to let it go. So the next time you think about giving up, remember, he sold his dog, slept in bus stations, got rejected over 1,500 times, but he didn't stop because deep down he knew he was Rocky, and maybe so are you.